Well, what a game to start off tonight. Sea Stags absolutely popping off, taking the victory with a decisive lead over Manchester Hive. But never fear, because we have one more game remaining this evening, and it's going to be a juicy one, I have to say.
It certainly is shaping up to be that way. The Derby Gods going up against the Oxford Brookes Vipers in the second best of one of the evening, and both teams actually heading into this matchup off the back of a loss today. They were the second and fourth ranked teams before the start of the matches today, and they're going to be wanting to try and maintain these sort of high ranked spots that they have in the Varsity tournament. But considering that they are both coming off of hot losses at the start of today, they're going to be desperate to try and rectify some of this damage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of an interesting one to see as well, because, I mean, Derby last week came into it. They picked up 3 wins in a row. Didn't even have to worry about losing a match. Clean sweep last week. But now, this is going to be their first time actually dealing with a loss. And we spoke going into last game about how big that mental attitude is, you know, in a format like this where it is just 2 best of ones in an evening. That momentum, are they going to be able to pick it back up and come over and reset? Or are they maybe a team that we haven't seen tested too much that might struggle being able to reset that mental attitude?
That's going to be a really interesting question that we're going to have answered in this next map. The Derby Gods coming into this one with a 16-8 loss against Lancaster, so they got rather dominated in their game, whereas the Oxford Brookes Vipers had it slightly closer at a 16-12 scoreline against Bath A. So in terms of potential tilt-worthy losses, it'll be Derby who received the sort of worst beating in their first map and could potentially be worrying about what is going on heading forward. But I definitely think it's going to be an interesting matchup regardless.
Definitely one to look out for, and I wonder what happened there. I mean, both 2 extremely strong squads. As Oxford, you know, you mentioned it, they had a really strong start coming into this. Even if they did pick up a loss, they picked up a few extra rounds over Derby, who only managed to pick up 8 in that last game. So I think that mental attitude is going to be a big one to touch on, I have to say. And I mean, players to watch in terms of their performance last week. First of all, we got to talk about Orcs with a 2.03 KD. In only 2 games, they picked up 59 kills. That is an absolutely huge week last week.
He absolutely did. That's going to be an interesting one to see whether he is going to be able to try and replicate that level of performance. Heading into this matchup, I do have to apologize for my camera having a bit of a creative episode at the moment. I am trying to work on fixing that one, and maybe we could be back relatively soon, but it has certainly been an interesting one, that one to say the least. And heading into this next matchup, I would have to anticipate that it would be Johnny Valele from the side of the Oxford Brookes Vipers, perhaps to look out for as a player to watch on that AWP. He really can be someone who has the propensity to take over matches just entirely on his own.
Yeah, I mean, the AWP going to be such a big one, but we'll see how effective it will be based on what map we end up on as we hop over to the vetoes, and we'll see what maps do get banned by each team. The first to ban is going to be Nuke for Oxford Brookes.
Yeah, the Nuke ban and the potential train bans you would be expecting to come through, and I would imagine we end up on something relatively neutral, perhaps like a Mirage or an Overpass.
Yep, Inferno going to be out of the picture now, so it's going to be interesting to see how the next one goes. Dust 2 out of it, so only a couple maps remain, as Overpass actually going to be getting banned by Derby God. So going to be nice to see some different maps tonight, not the same map back-to-back. Vertigo also going to be out, and so does Mirage. That leaves Train as our final map, and I think Train is one of those maps that some teams, you know, it's definitely their strong point, but some teams really exactly the opposite, because team play is just so vital on this map. There's so many different off angles that players are able to take to kind of catch you off guard, and especially with all of that open terrain around the B site. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one to see how teams end up actually playing everything.
Yeah, indeed. Train as a best of one map can be a really interesting one. If we are looking at potentially Overpass being a map where CT sides are important and where CT AWPs are important, then Train is that potentially amplified as well. Both maps, incredibly long channels of attack that you want to utilize that AWP through, but more importantly, it's the utility on this map for sure. The entire high-level T-side meta on Train revolves around just emptying that CT utility as much as you can and trying to sort of stack the CTs up on the wrong bomb site, trying to fake them out with your own utility so you can attack the lesser defended area. And as a result, you're going to need some pretty cognizant in-game leadership in order to work with a strategy such as that one on this map. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one working forward. And again, that economic management is something that is going to be so important for both teams to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. And you mentioned that utility usage and how the Ts have to have that controlled aggression aspect. We spoke about earlier on, and I think it's such a huge thing, not only being able to hold that trigger discipline, not getting overzealous, not trying to overpeak anything. It really comes down to how well the IGL is actually able to kind of micromanage the team, as well as the team synergy, because you can't just have the IGL saying, you stay here, you wait until so-and-so's done this. It has to come down to playing a lot together, having some really good synergy, being able to call out, hey, we're going to go with this strategy, and then your team instantly understanding that and being able to work off of each other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. It's going to come down to a lot of practice. And this T side is really going to be the one that you want to watch out for, because if you can have a strong T side, you can knock that CT economy off kilter, then potentially you can farm up some very early advantages indeed. But it's all about that strong start for the T side.
Yep, as we do see the knife round kick off, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one here to see how things unfold. As, I mean, neither team really wants to lose too early here. They want to get, you know, those early game, that best spawn pretty much. You don't want to have, you know, a bad side. You want your pick on spawners. There we go. It's going to be Oxford Brooks Vipers cleaning up that one. They get the priority as to which side they will be on going into this game. And I think it'll be an interesting one to see, because while a lot of players typically go CT side every single map, it doesn't matter what. Train is one of those maps where if you're able to execute effectively on that T side and you have good experience, you can absolutely have some huge games.
100% as well. If you can, well, let's look at it from the negative perspective. If you're on the CT side and you start off weakly on this map, you end up in that economic trap that we saw Manchester Hive in, where they can't afford anything. And then you have to switch on to the T side in the second half to try and make something work. So there really is opportunity for whichever side can have a strong start as the T's here.
We spoke about utility usage. We see it coming out already. Some nice smoke's going to be coming in. Johnny holding a nice little side angle. Takes down two off the bat, but FTE able to take down Lisa in return. RD going down as now it's down to a 2v3. The CT is going to have the advantage as Yosti for Oxford Brooks will be going down. Derby Gods looking to try and take this now. The USP has been picked up by Fluey right now as Orcs going to be providing cover. The bomb plant coming out as Johnny Valele moving in with his teammate. They have to be careful here. Those USPs, now they've been picked up, they can be so deadly. So it's just a case of Derby playing very, very passively here, not wanting to give anything away. As the headshot lands down on towards Johnny. Beautiful shots coming out from Fluey. What some of these names, man. I mean, you know these guys better than me. Can you give me any insight there?
Oh, I can certainly try. Fwooly is a little bit, like a jungle name, a bit like Mowgli, perhaps. I don't know.
Fwooly, okay.
Totally pulling that pulling that out of a rainbow. But looking at this second round scenario, the Oxford Brooks Vipers, they go for the full investment, which you can be tempted to do because you're not going to get too much out in the third off of the back of a hard eco, and that means the Deagles could do work. Yosti up close and personal with the MP9, could even get a double, only gets the one though, and that does make it a little bit more difficult to defend this A site.
Finch takes down one, as now they're getting the plan in here. Derby want to try and get super aggressive super early. They've been able to get themselves some SMGs, and it's going to work out, but not for long, as Johnny has the scout. Lands the headshot. RD going to be playing the Ivy angle, just playing it slow, knows roughly where Finch is going to be, and he has to hit some big 1D headshots right now if it's going to work out against the MAC-10, but it doesn't, and a beautiful play coming out here from Derby Gods. I mean, just playing, you know, so controlled. They were able to get in aggressive early, but also not afraid to kind of slow down a little once they got that bomb plant off.
Yeah, absolutely. Played that one very well to avoid dropping those weapons forward and get through it pretty cleanly to boot. You can see that it's only really Finch who's lacking money now on that Derby God side. So his MAC-10 is going to try and farm bonus cash. You see it protect the AWP beautifully, and Lisa just not quite close enough there to make use of the Zeus. So it's looking like a fairly clean 3-0 start for the Derby Gods, and I have to say I'm fairly impressed with this T side so far.
Tell me that the Zeus isn't the most exciting weapon in the game. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out there, but they tried for it as Yosti with the 5-7 connects with the headshot on towards A. Finch going to be able to take down one, and a second. Swooley helps with the second. Derby Gods, third round in a row. They got to be feeling good now, especially after last game where they lost 8-16. This has got to be a big confidence boost.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And as well, in the best of one format, you really can just turn up to these matches and not quite be as warmed up as you'd like to be. You head into the first match, the aim isn't quite there. And especially if the Derby God squad came out of last week winning every single one of their matches, there could have been a degree of overconfidence there as well. There could have been perhaps the sentiment that we don't need to practice for hours and hours ahead of this matchup, and then they may have got a little bit caught off guard by that Lancaster squad. It doesn't look like they're going to be getting caught off guard in this matchup very much. However, the aim is looking crisp from the Derby squad so far, with Frooley and Finch dominating the early scoreboard. This is where we start to get excited for the Oxford Brooks Vipers, because Johnny Vallely has that AWP on Glass Cannon, and there is utility to work with on this CT side.
We already saw how strong Johnny is with just a scout. Now with the AWP, this is going to be big. Orcs holding that left-hand side, just in case any players from Oxford Brooks try to peek out. And he does catch one as RD going to be going down. Trying to connect through the smoke, nothing quite, as Lisa just playing the side of the train. And a bit of an off-on angle here. Not sure whether Brooks are going to be able to expect this. Johnny lands yet another one. Fluely with the kills on towards Lisa. Flinch takes down Yosti. Johnny down as well, as Asteria now going to try and clean up the job. Lands the headshot on towards Orcs. Asteria going out. And that's rough right there if you're Oxford Brooks. If you finally get yourself an AWP.
Indeed, and it was the lack of armor that really hurt Johnny Vallely on the second kill there as well. He does get finished off by a headshot, but you noticed that his crosshair flicked up before he could fire, hitting the body, and without any armor, that aim punch makes you so inaccurate in CSGO. So it's down to the Deagles, everyone other than Vallely on armor, so that he can save up for that glorious AWP, and he's the one finding the frags too. Massive entries at the start of this round. Majors have opened it up for the Vipers.
Who needs an AWP when you've got a Deagle, as he picks up two off the early side, make it three as he takes down Frooley as well. Orcs holding on towards the ladder, but he drops down. Johnny with the one tap. Beautiful play coming out there from Johnny Vallely.
That was amazing individual work right there. All on one man. No body armor available. He picks up two quick kills, follows it up for a third, and cleans up a fourth at the end as well with a pure execution. Multiple weapons save forward for the CT side off the back of that round. So that was a huge victory for the Oxford Brooks Vipers, and it may be the round they need to springboard a round streak at the start of their CT side.
Asteria getting caught very low towards that little jiggle peak there, so going to be forced to try and back off. Brooks need to provide a little bit of support over on towards B site now. As Orc's going to be looking to make a bit of an execute, preps the smokes. Really nice lineups coming out. As Asteria, I think they realize they can't get too aggressive on towards this. Yosti spots out once. This is going to force Brooks to think twice about what rotate is going to come out. But never mind, as Johnny picks up yet another one with that up. Fully playing E-Box, watching every possible angle. Doesn't quite have the info on where they're going to be, but here it is, Finch. He peeks out. He's looking the wrong way, but never mind, so's Asteria. Johnny with the AUE, trying to get aggressive. Zay takes down Lisa. Johnny just moving in, but it looks like Zay gonna be holding the angle already. Out comes the bomb plant, and now Oxford Brooks with only 2 players left up.
He's found one of the frags necessary, but Fooley's taken him down. That leaves him alone with the AUG in a risky play from the Derby squad. Thankfully, for them at least, RD missing those shots with the AUG, and Fooley is able to bail them out of the round, but that was really close. They had both players facing the defending CT there, and only one of them engaging in a gunfight. If he'd landed an AUG headshot, he could have had a 2-for-1, no problem, and won that round. A very risky one, but Derby closing out nonetheless. Now there are double AWPs to worry about on the CT side, though.
So, Orcs tries to go for the peak, out-aimed though, as Johnny Valele with the reaction times will be able to pick up the kill. Finch tries to pop up, does get absolutely lit as Johnny going to be forced to back off. Down to only 4 HP now. This is not ideal. Finch holding on towards this side angle, has an idea of where Yosti's going to be, but nothing quite going to connect as he will be able to land the headshot. Never mind, however, as Zay returns the fire with the AWP. Wooly takes down another. Johnny's out, so's RD. Lisa going down as well. Asteria, final player left up. It's going to be a bit of a tense situation here as now Derby picking up yet another round win. And Oxford Brooks, our 4th place overall team at the moment, coming off a pretty bad loss last game. This is not going to be ideal for your mental state right now.
Not at all, especially considering that they are on the CT side of Train, which is supposed to be the easier one to manage. The Derby Gods firing on all cylinders. That last round started off a little bit messy, but ended beautifully. And Asteria, lucky to find a kill in this one. Won't get cleaned up by the follow-up nade, but it has prompted some more aggression now from Derby, who are looking to push into this A site.
Down to 7 HP, though. This is going to be rough now for Asteria, but Orc's going to be getting traded out, and oh no! RD just turns away at the worst possible time. Finch able to connect with that with the AK. Lisa with the D, cleans up Wooly. Finch down as well, and out goes a beautiful play coming out from Vipers to be able to pick themselves up around. They managed to save the AWP here, so this is going to be a big boost to them. They should be able to buy up at least something here.
Indeed, they should be able to get something on the board. It's so stretched for cash, they decide to just empty the bank. And instead of going for that double eco setup, they will just invest into what they can here and try and make it work. But it's a clash of the titans right now. Fooley and Johnny Valele, the top 2 fraggers in the server. And it's Valele who opens up here at the start of round number 9. FT will get it back at bare minimum, but this is where things start to get interesting. With only 2 rifles on the board for the T side and very little utility, they're totally dependent on some of these Deagle players getting some lovely headshots.
Lisa with the AWP, whiffs the shot though, as FT able to peek out and connect with the headshot. Wallbang attempt coming out from Wooly as nothing really gonna land off it. Johnny Valele spotted out though. Zay landed a nice little Deagle headshot. This is gonna open things up now for Derby to get on the attack. Orcs now, the player we spoke about earlier, very big performance last week, not quite showing off in the way we would have hoped this time, as yet another death gonna be getting picked up on that front. RD, nice little headshot, make it 2. Down goes FD, followed by Zay, as now Wooly, the final player player left up from Derby. They have really good momentum here. They have themselves a lot of rounds. They're going to get the bomb plant in. The AWP, this could be a big play here. Brooks just have to work together as a team to make sure that they can at least pick up a trade if one of them goes down. And that looks to be the case as RD going to be working round behind.
Such a good Molotov. It absolutely ruins Fwuli's position there. As soon as he gets tagged by it, they have the sound cue. They have all the information that they need. They know how to deal with him, and now he's trapped literally within a CT sandwich. And that last round, I feel like, actually falls down off the back of Orcs. He's there in Ivy, holding a close angle, and switches to the AWP slightly too early, perhaps thinking that his opponents are going to be saving. But because he's got that long-range sniper rifle, he's ill-equipped to deal with the close-range fight, and that then frees up the secondary CT player in Hell to start fragging on the A-bomb site. So Orcs definitely is a player who is slightly quieter than he was last week, as you've mentioned, and I feel like it's starting to be noticed.
Stereo using that incendiary really effectively there, but it doesn't work out. As I mean, Derby, when you've had this many round wins, you're feeling this confident, you just send it through that Molotov, no care in the world. Johnny Valele going to be able to take down Zay. Unfortunate timing on the nade as it does connect on towards the wall. Orcs with the Deagle. Can he make something happen here? Unfortunately, not just yet. FTE goes for the peek, but RD is holding and ready for it now. Orcs tries to peek out over on towards RD as now he goes out. Finch and Fwuli both down. The defuse coming out, and Oxford Brooks Vipers finally starting to get themselves a bit of a comeback here. They've got the momentum. Let's hope they can carry it over and pick themselves up at least, at least get matched with Derby Gods right now.
For sure, they are starting to wake up now on this CT side. The cash is looking decent as well. All four players at the start of this round going to have at least 3,700 in the bank after their complete investments. Asteria, who was the only player to fall, is a little bit lower than the rest of his squad, but the CT bank is starting to get healthy now. That means that a positive scoreline at the end of this half is not impossible, which would be a lovely comeback against that Derby Gods side. But from the Derby Gods' point of view, they are still in the lead, and the guns now can come out. That last round really showed you just how important utility is to have. The T side rushed into that bomb site through the Molotov, got the opening kill and got the bomb down, but with no smokes to delay that CT retake, it is easy as pie for the rifles to just work the angles, secure the one-on-one engagements, and then use their own counter utility to make sure the flashbangs don't even allow the Deagles to peek in and try and get any headshots.
We have a timeout coming out. I'm not sure whether it was technical or tactical, but if you're a team in this situation now, what exactly goes on in your head? We're not sure who exactly picked it up, and I mean, Derby, they started off really strong. The lead is starting to close. What do they do right here to try and switch things up? It's going to be an interesting one, as Orc's going to be disconnecting. Maybe that'll explain, the performance that we maybe weren't expecting coming out from him, as he should be able to restart the game in a couple seconds. And I mean, definitely a close start to the game, I have to say. It's going to be interesting to see how things unfold, especially when it comes time to switch sides and see if Brooks can potentially pick up something big when the time comes for them to head over to the T side.
100%. We were talking about tilt-worthy factors before the broadcast. If Orcs is the top fragger for the Derby Gods and he's having spotty internet all day, which is limiting his performances, then that is something that can really tilt the squad as well. We've seen, I think Orcs, it must have been disconnect and reconnect to the server. That must have been his third time now so far in this map for the Derby squads. We've seen one Oxford Brooks player try and reconnect as well. So tech issues definitely in the wings, but now the game is back underway and the Derby Gods playing it slow. They really want this drop room control, but that molly is not deep enough to root Yosti out of his position just yet.
Yosti just going to be playing slow as Orcs holding the backside over towards T-Spawn, trying to connect with a bit of, you know, a bit of an AK range aim battle as Molotov landing down will be for Zay to move up a little. Lisa going to be moving around the back here as FTE going to be opening up. It definitely appears clear that Oxford Brooks, they want to try and make a bit of a push through Ivy and potentially round to the T-spawn as FTE just kind of baiting out some shots here, jumping over the ladder, and look at this, beautiful here. Teamwork coming out. That's not what Yosti was expecting. He's able to take down one, but quickly gets traded out by FTE. Johnny Valele holding over on towards the entrance, ready for a player to peek out from E-Box, but just playing it ever so slowly right now. Unfortunately, doesn't land the shot as now Oxford Brooks, 2 players left up, and maybe this timeout, it's turned things around here as Finch gets another one. Asteria, the final one left up, trying to take the aim battle, but Zay with the up, cleans up, and there we go. Derby Gods picking up another round after what seems like a bit of a break here.
Absolutely, it does, and the firepower is really interesting to see from the Derby Gods squad. Orcs, their top fragger last week, but they have a trio of Fwuli, Jay, and Finch right now, just getting the work done on the T side and finding those kills. It was a missed AWP shot from Johnny Valele that opened up the late round last time for them, so they have 2 snipers this time. Asteria at close range, though, is taken down. The secondary AWP does find itself at least 1 kill in the hands of Lisa and retreats back now into the site, but Valele is hungry for frags as well. It's Derby Gods who find them first, though, and this could be interesting now as Shay might take this engagement against Johnny.
Shay takes down one, but Johnny is going to be the one that comes out on top now, just playing towards Ivy. Saw the utility come through, knows at least 1 player from Derby is going to be pushing, but Fwuli with the AK headshot finishes the job. FD spots out another one. Yosti going down. Lisa, the final player left up, just playing back towards CT now, ever so carefully, tries to hit the AWP shot, works out the second time, down goes Orcs. It's a 1 versus 2 as FTE going to be moving in to try and group up with his teammate. Lisa takes another shot, but down goes Lisa, fully with the headshot, and that's going to be Derby Gods, their 8th round right here. This is huge for them.
It really is, especially because that last round was a double AWP from the Oxford Brooks Vipers. That really hurts their economy to be losing out in that kind of a situation. And with so few rounds left to play at the end of this half, the Derby Gods are in a position to end up with double digits at the end of the half. It's just Deegs for the Vipers to work with as it's double AWPs on the T side now, and they look to do work.
Orcs with a nice little 2-piece will be getting spotted out by Yosti just behind the bottom side of the train with the Deagle, but now Orcs has that AWP, gonna try and make a bit of a push here on towards Yosti. Lands the shot, down he goes. Asteria and Dardy, the 2 remaining players. Asteria will hear the players drop down below, playing aggressive, headshot lands on towards Finch, takes it back down, but it's not going to be enough as Asteria getting eliminated now. Beautiful play coming out from Derby Gods as we go into our second to last round of the half. They are going to be very confident in terms of full buying here.
They certainly should be. All the utility, all the weapons to boot, and the Oxford Brooks Vipers, they need both of these rounds. That much is a factor. 4 rounds probably is not going to be enough to work with on the T side of Train 6. Maybe not either, but at least they'll have a better chance. Asteria slightly misses the timing on that Molotov, and Valele in the backlines is missing his timings as well. Huge opportunities thrown away, but he does frag eventually before Jay takes him down, and now it's such a hard position for the Vipers to be in on a 2v4 in a must-win round.
Asteria, it feels like they play that position every round, the same Molotov, and they keep getting punished for it. They need to try and switch it up. Zay goes down. Lisa, the final player left up yet again for Oxford Brooks Vipers, but not going to be enough as down goes Lisa. Derby Gods, 10th round win. They're going to be confident, especially going into CT side, which is arguably the stronger side for this map in a lot of people's opinions.
Well, last round, Derby countered Asteria perfectly. Normally, they'd been rushing forward and spamming the side of that doorway to try and tag Asteria down and kill him before he throws the Molotov. This time, they just crept down the ramp and were too far forward before the molly could even save him. Now, Fwuli's opening up with headshots. Lisa's trying to defend, but in this last of the half, they're going to need a miracle.
Lisa takes down one. Nice teamwork coming out from the flash right there. Asteria gonna be able to flash another. Finch takes him out. The trade coming down as 2 players left up here for Oxford Brooks. Trying their best to defend as RD lands over on towards Finch. RD goes down as well now. Johnny Valele, we've seen him with the AUE. Now it's time to see how he performs with the scout. Holding on towards the angle. It doesn't quite land the shot though. Johnny Valele caught out with the headshot. And there it goes. Derby Gods decisively winning our first half.
Indeed, they do. Johnny Valele carrying the Oxford Brooks Vipers at 16 kills in only 4 rounds won, but it is the Fwooly show for the Derby Gods side. Up on 21, the majority of the team following up in double digits as well. It's just Orcs who is struggling and lagging behind to all of our surprises. He did have that one anti-eco round with the aggressive AWP kills, but I wouldn't be surprised if technical issues are a factor in this matchup. A slightly extended halftime pause being taken as well here, potentially to resolve some of those internet issues. But this is going to be a tough one for the Oxford Brooks Vipers for sure. Only 4 rounds to work with on the T side means that there is so much pressure on them in the pistol round. If they can win this one and potentially the follow-up, depending on what kind of a force buy the Derby Gods bring forward, they can give themselves 3 to 4 rounds at the start of this half, narrow the gap between them and their opponents, and then look to dismantle a CT side that could struggle economically. But if Oxford Brooks win 2 out of the first 3 rounds in this half, I would say, if Derby Gods can win 2 of the first 3 rounds in this half, then I would say it is just a matter of time until they pick up the map.
Yep, the pistol round is going to be Brooks' opportunity to try and reset as, I mean, they're rushing B. It always works out, surely, as they push in with the Glock. Zay going to be holding the side angle with the USP, landing a couple pot shots, but not the headshot that you really need. Finch, however, will, as Asteria going to be going down. Johnny gets the plant off here. This is going to be a good start for Brooks. Even if they can't pick up the win of the round, they're at least going to get themselves that plant bonus. Johnny with the final bullet lands on towards Zay. Yosti getting traded out. Lisa, RD working as an absolute unit. There's Fwooly now, the final player left up. Baits the defuse, just tried to clear out, as it appears that Fwooly now just has no idea where those players are. It doesn't matter. RD going to be able to clean it up, and that's Oxford Brooks Vipers winning the pistol round. This could be exactly what they needed right now.
Very confusing pistol from the Derby Gods there. I can only assume they were time pressured from a lack of kits, because they put way too much emphasis on trying to stick the bomb rather than trying to go for kills in that scenario. Fwooly at the end was definitely out of the time, but FTE before within the site, maybe he ran out of ammo, that's why he was holding the defuse. But if he'd have been looking for kills, they have a much better chance at winning there. Now the Oxford Brooks side just want to get through this one cleanly. It's actually a force from the Derby Gods that's being dismantled very quickly, as the Oxford Brooks Vipers already have A site control.
Lisa with a nice little 2-piece with the Mac 10. Can't quite finish the job, as FTE gonna try and peek out. Doesn't work out. Finch the last one up. Derby Gods now, they're going to be pretty low on eco coming out of this round if things don't work out. He has to make something big happen. As Finch just instead going to be playing slow. Doesn't want to overpeak here. Kind of hoping for someone from Brooks to try to peek out instead. Lisa just going for the jiggle peeks over on towards Connector. As Finch, it looks like he's just playing for exit frags in a position like this.
Absolutely, yeah. The odds that he's going to be able to go in and get a kill here are relatively low. That we're all going to be stacked up waiting for him, and he's the only player on the team with an upgraded weapon at this point. So the idea going through his head is that I'm more likely to be in a better position next round to get a kill than I am right now. So let's try and take the weapon forward, see what I can get done here in round number 18, and see what my team's options are, because we have to take a hard eco round in the upcoming one that's going to allow the Oxford Brooks Vipers up to 7. Now, ideally, the Derby Gods will be taking 2 or 3 players down in this round just to keep that T-sided economy in check and make sure they don't start running away with things. Because if the Oxford Brooks Vipers get through this one cleanly and then start to look strong in the upcoming gun rounds, then they are going to have a flushed out T-sided economy, and they could start giving the Derby Gods a taste of their own medicine.
Did see Derby Gods. They took a timeout, having a little bit of a talk about things, exactly what they're going to do. And it looks like those Deagles going to come out strong. We'll see if they can pay off, because we know just how strong they can be at range if the headshots land. Asteria's starting to get aggressive. Zay takes him down in return. Orc's going to be able to connect with one on, as well as Yosti going to be playing out towards E-Box. Takes down Fooly. FTE getting the trade on towards it. Lisa trying to land shots over on towards Zay, will be able to make it happen now. As I mean, Derby, they've been able to pick up some weapons, but they've just been caught in a horrible position as Johnny Valele with a beautiful little three-piece on towards them, playing Ivy so stealthy, not overextended, and just waiting until they were distracted to take that opening shot.
Goes up to 20 kills off the back of it and saves a round steal from going the way of the Derby Gods. But now the investment comes through regardless. There's not as much cash as they would like on the Derby Gods squad, but there are AWPs, there are AUGs, and there is utility available. Finch drops the Molotov early, suspecting a potential rush, and the B-bomb site is this target for the Oxford Brooks Vipers. They're just waiting to pull the trigger.
Orcs with the AWP lands the shot on towards Asteria. That's going to slow down Oxford Brooks a little bit now. It's going to make them kind of rethink their strategy now that they know that AWP is out on the field. Smokes will be coming out, though. It's the opportunity for Brooks to make a push. They're ready for Finch, but not ready enough. As Yosti gets taken down with a headshot, Finch gets traded. Through the smoke, FTE going to be getting eliminated. Orcs playing aggro with this AWP now, has to make something huge happen, but he's caught out by Johnny. We spoke about Johnny being so strong with that AWP and absolutely proving it, as Wooly going down as well. Zay, the final player left up from Derby Gods, takes down Lisa. Pop flash coming out. Is it going to be enough? Not quite, as Oxford Brooks starting to mount a bit of a comeback here.
Indeed, Orcs just not having his day right now. He had a bit of an odd decision to make there. Everyone from Derby Gods came out of the ramp early, so obviously he was a little bit worried of a player peeking from scaffolding. But what happened is Johnny Valele came out the ramp and then went back in and then pushed out scaffolding, which means that Orcs gets caught off guard as he's trying to push aggressively for an AWP kill, and the round falls apart.
Lisa, nice little opening headshot on towards Wooly. Zay just playing slow on the side angle, doesn't want to overextend. Nice little 1D coming out here from Orcs. Gonna try and pick up another, but eat Lisa yet again with that AK landing a headshot. Down goes Orcs, FTE out as well. Zay was playing passive. It pays dividends as now Lisa gonna be out. The AK spray lands. Zay takes down another. Gonna hop up onto the train, or is he? No, he is not, and Yosti reads it perfectly. Takes down Zay. Oxford Brooks, they are closing things up. And Derby Gods, they've got to be sweating right now.
They absolutely are, and that's why they've just invested into 2 AWPs heading forward. This is what they wanted to pull out in the last full gun round, but didn't have the cash to work with. And I'm not sure I'm sold on this decision. Yes, 3 players have full complements of utility, but both Shay and Orcs have had to get rid of those nades to complement these weapons here, and that could leave them in a bit of a disastrous situation in a retake.
Wooly, ready for a player to be behind the smoke. Nice little spray coming out as RD going to be getting taken down. Finch watching up to the top, takes down to Asteria and Yosti, both eliminated. Lisa going to start working through this smoke, but Zay is going to be holding upstairs, waiting for that player to peek. Lisa could make something big happen here, but the spray unfortunately not landing. Finch goes down, not going to be able to take down the second, as Lisa going to be forced to back off a little bit. Has to get support right here off of Johnny. We know how strong he can be with that AWP, and now is the time to prove it. And it's not looking great right here. Wooly goes for the spray on towards him. Lisa returns the fire. Valele gonna be going down, but it's gonna be Orcs that picks up the final kill of the round, and Derby Gods finally getting some form of relief.
They do indeed. They save both the AWPs forward, but with 3 players going down, it's still an expensive round, and the Oxford Brooks Vipers still have enough cash left in their reserves to bring out the AKs in this one. That means that the Derby Gods are not in safe territory just yet. They lose around here, their banks will be totally empty, and the Vipers will have a way back into the game.
That Molotov landing, it takes them low. Yosti taken down by the Orpers now. Derby Gods absolutely popping off right here. Fluli takes down Asteria. Lisa, the final player left up. And it seems like every single round, Lisa, the final player alive, left in those clutch scenarios. And, well, they try to, you know, close the gap and clutch out. When you're in those 1v3, 1v4 situations, Derby, they just have a huge advantage to be able to clean up the rounds.
They certainly do there, and it was a gamble from the Oxford Brooks Vipers to go for a rush in that last one, and that again shows you the strength of CT utility. The Derby Gods side, they have the Molotov and the smoke. That's all they need. Everyone else tries to run out into the A-bomb site. They have to take loads of damage, and they have no idea what they're running into. Clean defense from the Derby squad, and now they're entering potentially the twilight stages of this map.
Oh!
If Orcs is waking up as well towards the end of Train, then these next two rounds could be scary for Oxford Brooks.
He spoke about Orcs not having the performance he was looking for, trying to prove us wrong now with a nice little two-piece with the Orb. RD gonna be the last one left up, though. He is taken out. Zay finishes off the job. Derby Gods with 14 rounds as opposed to Brooks 9. It's going to be a little bit rough here for Brooks to start mounting a comeback. They do have that utility and that economy, but is it going to be enough?
Well, this is the round. If they lose here, they probably lose the map due to their empty banks. Early Molotovs are going to prevent them from rushing into the A-bomb site, but A looks like the target. Asteria wins an important gunfight, and they might explode into the site off of that.
Not looking likely as Orcs takes down Asteria. Yosti gonna try to open things back up. Doesn't quite work out as FTE lands the headshot on towards Yosti. Watching up towards these trains, but beautiful teamwork coming out here from Oxford Brooks as they peek together. Lisa able to connect with the headshot. Finch, no! He lands the shots, can't quite finish the job. Orb landing from Zay, but the Molotov is down. Decides to disperse it with a smoke, but two players left up here for Oxford Brooks. Lisa down to just 1 HP right here, so he doesn't even need the AUE to be able to finish them off, but it's not looking great right here as it's a 1v2 and Oxford Brooks, they realize how much is on the line, so they are just playing ever so carefully.
Oh, Jay finds the right angle, but is not ready for the engagement. That's a really close one. If Finch is tapping at that range instead of spraying, maybe that's a different round, but the Derby Gods fail at their first potential opportunity to start to close out this game. Thankfully, they had enough cash left in the bank to go for another investment, but the Oxford Brooks Vipers are going to be fired off the back of that one, and if they win this round too, they are straight back into a competitive position on Train.
If Brooks take this round, there's the possibility they equal things out. As Zay lands a shot on towards Yosti. Brooks just playing a little bit slow right now. They don't want to overextend. They want to play passive. This will give Derby the opportunity to start clearing, though. There's Fluli, moving in towards Pop Dog. Lisa going to be providing support. Oh, RD gets spotted out, but the shot's not quite landing. Able to trade over on towards FTE. Spots out the player holding the angle with the AWP, but the nice little jump coming across, making it a little bit harder to actually land the shots. Orcs throws down the flash as now Lisa tries to get the trade. Beautiful headshot through the smoke on towards Finch. It's a 3v3. RD's going to be low. Smoke coming out here to try and provide a little bit of a safety net. Fully pushes in. This could be big for Derby if they're able to clutch it out. Lands the headshot. Lisa trades it though. It's down to a 2v2. Both Brooks players are extremely low, but it doesn't matter as Lisa connects with another one. Decides to back off. Zay goes down, and Brooks, they are back in the fight right now.
Unbelievable round there from the Oxford Brooks Vipers, and what a nightmare from the Derby Gods. 2 AWPs on the retake. 15 HP combined on both T-sided players. Lads, now is the time to get those pistols out instead. They try for a close-range AWP shot that whips onto Lisa, and then the positioning on Valele is unknown. The Oxford Brooks Vipers are firmly back into this match up against an anti-eco. They want to dominate the A-bomb site, and they might just do it as well. This is going to be 14-12, and the buy isn't going to be perfect for the Derby Gods in this next round. The Oxford Brooks squad could come straight back into this map.
It's too close for comfort here for Derby Gods, as now Oxford Brooks are going to be able to get the bomb plant off. RD spots out FT. Finch, the final player left up here, down to just 7 HP. Only a Deagle in hand, and I mean, RD's got to be ready for this. As the pre-fire comes out, down goes Finch. Oxford Brooks, they are closing this gap. Only 2 rounds between them. We could potentially see an overtime right here.
100%. This is an overtime potential scoreline. It all depends on what the Derby Gods do in the next round. You can see they're trying to preserve their cash to go for one big push at the end of the map to make it work. That means we have to expect a 14-13 scoreline here into a full buy from both teams in the next round.
Derby playing over towards a site. They want to work as a team. They want to play for those trades. Asteria and Johnny already going to be a little bit low. Is they going to land the headshot on towards Lisa? Wants to start getting aggressive. Yosti holding the side angle, but gets spotted out. Zay doing so much work with the Deagle, now trying to grasp on to that lead for Derby Gods, as FT is going to be going down. This will give Brooks the opportunity to start making a rotation. But it's a 3 versus 3, and all of these Brooks players are going to be at least low health. Whereas Derby, you know, they have themselves an AK now. They have 2 Deagles. They have themselves full HP on 2 of their 3 players. They might be able to secure this here, even against the fire superiority of Oxford Brooks.
Absolutely. One body shot with the Deagle is enough to kill every single Oxford Brooks player, and it's all going to be about this timing for Asteria. Can't quite land it. Orcs is going to double up with Valele and RD now. 1v3 scenario. 30 seconds left on the clock, and doesn't even have the bomb on his back. What a round for the Derby Gods to steal away and potentially now put themselves up onto map point with a perfect amount of cash.
Derby Gods, they just needed one big round, and this is going to be it for them. They've got themselves at least some cash out of it. Oh, no. RD can't quite land the shots. Orcs just pulls out that up. Nice little tap. Finishes the job. Derby Gods now, they're within, you know, touching distance of the win as they pick up their 15th round. Brooks, with only, you know, they're being forced to buy right now. This is not an ideal position. They at least have themselves some utility, but this is not great for Brooks.
It's such a nightmarish round to lose. So important. That was the linchpin to their comeback. And oh, the Derby Gods go aggressive in what is now likely to be the final round of Train. Valele utilitied off him and Lisa, the only players who can save Oxford Brooks now.
We've seen Lisa clutch out before, as Lisa going to be the final player left up. Beautiful one tap on towards Zay. Nice little trade coming out. The footsteps are going to be given out as Wooly starting to get aggressive. Flashbang lands, though, as Finch can accidentally flash his own teammate, but there it is. It's going to be FTE that picks up the final kill.
Indeed, it is. The Zeus attempt tries to come through from Derby at the end there. Really can't quite land it, but that was looking like a close one for sure. We knew that was going to be a brawl, and at 11-4 off the first half, I almost expected the Derby Gods to dominate it, but the Oxford Brooks Vipers lived up to their name. They made it a competitive map, but unfortunately, commiserations to them as the Derby Gods take the day.
You gotta give Vipers credit there. They cannot put themselves out because even though, look, they've had 2 back-to-back losses tonight, it's not ideal. Both of them have at least been relatively close. They started off this game very, very weak. They had a lot of rounds down, and to be able to mount a comeback like they did, they've got to be proud of themselves, especially some of those clutch situations that Lisa was in. Huge plays coming out there.
Indeed, and you have to say congratulations to the Derby Gods side. I'm trying to pick out just one individual from their team who really performed well. I think it would have to be Fwooly, but you have to say congratulations to everyone on that squad. It felt like every name almost was being said in some kind of round-saving play, and while Orcs had a really quiet first half, I think he finished up on something like 16 to 18 kills at the end, which, when you consider he only had 4 kills at about round 12 or 13, shows he did start to wake up towards the end of that match. So congratulations to the Derby Gods for being able to win out our second match of the day.
Very impressive indeed, and huge clutch plays coming out from a lot of those players. We spoke about Orcs coming into this as one of those players to watch, and we were a bit disappointed over towards the start, but towards the end, once they started getting into it, getting themselves some strong guns, Orcs was just absolutely able to pop off and just do so much damage.
He absolutely was. And again, what else can you say to the Derby gods other than congratulations for their victory? Not quite a successful week as it was in week one, but they're definitely a team to look out for now heading forward throughout this varsity season. We know the Sea Stags are looking like the most dominant overall team right now, so perhaps the Derby gods are going to be the squad to try and challenge them.
I don't think there's any team that we can count out right now. Sure, there were teams coming into this week. They lost 3 games last week. Let's kind of count that as almost a warm-up here. It's the first, day of games that they were able to play. Sure, they didn't have the ideal start, but now they should be getting into the swing of things. They should be able to go back and review all of their matches and learn a lot. But, that's our second game. It's our final game. That is it for us this evening. Before we go, I just want to give a huge thank you to Unite Students and Logitech G for making all of this possible, supporting Mule. Of course, not to forget Amazon and Twitch Student. Awesome. And thank you so much for the help. If you guys want to get involved in some university esports, make sure to follow The Newell on Twitter at twitter.com/TheNewell. Keep up to date and make sure to join the Discord as well. Discord.gg/The Newell. And, it would mean so much to see some fresh faces come in, because at the end of the day, that is what The Newell is all about, bringing the highest level of competition to university esports.
Absolutely, it is. So if you do want to get involved in university esports and fancy having a go in some of these CSGO tournaments, remember the grand prize for Varsity is a VIP trip to a premier esports event with COVID permitting. So if you think that appeals to you, do go and check it out.
Yep, but that is going to be it for me and Protalis today. It has been a pleasure getting to cast some CSGO. It was my first time, and it was super, super exciting. I cannot wait to see how the rest of the league unfolds. Remember, we will be back next week with, I believe, 3 games next time. 2 games next time. Same time, same place. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you guys next time.